What's going on with y'all? Thanks for checking me out. This video right here, this is really why I do this. I don't, I'm not getting paid off YouTube. I'm not, this is just a hobby, something I do on the side, my free time, my spare time. I mean, in the mix of the jobs I have, stuff I got going on. But you gotta shed light to some things that don't really get enough light shed on them. We all know about the tragic shooting that the young man in Kansas City, Missouri, got shot twice, survived, thank God. White man, 84-year-old white male, shot a black teen. The media picked that up and ran with it. Oh, it's a hate crime. Oh, it's racist. Oh, BLM marching up and down the streets of Kansas City right now. Showing up to the man's house, the old man's house, protesting in front of the old man's house.
What do we do? When black lives are under attack, what do we do? Stand up! 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 Black lives matter! Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
I wrote this morning, I woke up and I was thinking about Ralph and I just started writing. And this is what came out. This is not another dead black boy paraded in a poem for clicks and views. This is spiritual, a war being waged in broad day.
But, justice was served, though, because the dude got arrested. He had 2 felony charges against him, so the process is taking place, So I don't know what the uproar is about. I get it. It's a tragic thing, but, the judicial system is happening right in front of our eyes with this case. Justice is on the way to being served. I don't know if the guy's innocent, guilty. I don't know, the laws down there. Apparently, he shot through his screen door, and I don't think that's really, I think that's a no-go, but I could be mistaken. I don't know Missouri, Kansas City laws when it comes to that. I'm gonna roll this clip real quick. We're gonna catch up on some other stories, and then we'll be done with the video. But roll this Kansas City clip right now.
84-year-old Andrew Lester is charged with the shooting of 16-year-old Ralph Yarrow. Well, he has just surrendered and is now in custody. NBC's Antonia Hilton has been covering this case for us. Former prosecutor Charles Coleman is back with us. Antonia, people seem not to know where he was for a while. Obviously, now we're waiting to hear more from jail officials. We would expect a booking photo, but what more do we know?
That's right, Chris. For hours this morning, community members and the family were continuing to ask why hadn't Andrew Lester already been booked. And, earlier, right after the shooting, he was briefly detained, but very quickly released. That's part of what fueled the protests in the community for days. Today, there was also a school walkout with kids trying to show their support for the 16-year-old. He's now out of the hospital and back home recovering. But this is really what the community has been demanding now for days on end. They wanted to see that booking photo. They wanted him to be behind bars. And so this news is surely going to be met with some relief from the community, but there's additional questions still here. A lot of the folks that we've talked to here at NBC have asked the question of, why he's facing these 2 charges, first-degree assault and the second armed criminal action, but not facing a hate crime charge at this time. That's been a major part of the discussion here that we heard from the prosecutor last night, that there was an acknowledgement of a racial component to this case, but that's really the extent of what we know. What else might prosecutors be aware of here? What other motivations might be at play? The community is still demanding answers.
So yeah, there you have it. The media, your CNNs, MSNBCs. The family got attorney Benjamin Crump, the ambulance chaser himself. So Al Sharpton all over it, talking about it. And the race baiting, the race narrative is running and going good and strong on this one. We don't know if race played a role at all. You got BLM, like I said, at the suspect's house. All kind of crazy stuff going on with that tragic event. But Is this story right here getting the same coverage? I don't know. Roll the clip.
65-year-old man in upstate New York is facing murder charges after he allegedly shot and killed a woman who authorities say accidentally turned into his driveway. Kevin Monahan will go before a judge today for killing 20-year-old Kaylin Gillis. According to investigators, Gillis and 3 other people accidentally turned into Monahan's driveway in Hebron, a rural town bordering Vermont, while looking for a friend's home over the weekend. Investigators say Monahan fired 2 shots from his front porch and 1 bullet killed Gillis.
There was no reason for Mr. Monahan to feel threatened, especially as it appears the vehicles were leaving at the time. So,
a GoFundMe page was created to help Kaylin Gillis's family pay for her funeral. So far, it has raised $65,000.
So yeah, I guess this story isn't as juicy for the media because a white man killed a white girl. There's no race narrative to be played there, so we'll move right along with this story. Nothing to see here, even though it's essentially the same story. The young man in Kansas City, young woman in New York, both went to the wrong house. Difference is, the young woman died, the young man survived. See how the media does. You're not going to really, CNN and MSNBC, they'll touch it for a second, but it's not going to get the wall-to-wall, the sun up to sundown coverage as any other, as a Kansas City shooting would, for example. Lastly, I don't think Black Lives Matter, I didn't see them down in Alabama over the weekend when they just had a mass shooting where 32 were injured and 4 young lives were taken. Black lives were taken. But BLM, nowhere to be found. Al Sharpton, Benjamin Crump, President Biden, Kamala Harris, haven't heard a peep from them. Now, they might have said something. It didn't come across my wire. So, let's roll that clip about this Alabama mass shooting before I get the rambling on. Roll the clip.
We are learning more about the victims of this weekend's mass shooting at a 16th birthday party in Alabama. Police say 4 people were killed, a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, and a 23-year-old. 28 others were hurt, mostly teens. A group of lawmakers in Alabama called for new gun legislation today, something they planned before the deadly weekend shooting.
No child in Alabama should be afraid of getting shot and killed at a sweet 16 birthday party.
Witnesses report more than 1 shooter in this event. Police are asking anybody with information to come forward, but have not provided other details. And so far, no arrests have been made.
So you seen that? I got so much I want to say, man, but I'm going to just condense it. I don't want the video to drag out too long. All I got to say is this right here. I don't hear a peep from Al Sharpton, Benjamin Crump, Biden, Kamala Harris, none of that. Local media, I think CNN touched on it maybe a second. But you know what? This wasn't a white man that shot up a school or shot up a church, or this wasn't the 84-year-old white man that shot a 16-year-old black kid in Kansas City. It's not that case, so they're not going to cover it. It doesn't fit the race baiting narrative or agenda that they want to push. But there's no suspects in this Alabama case, but they're still not going to talk about it like that. 4 young black lives that were lost. BLM, nowhere to be found. But I got so much more stories to talk about. Chicago teenage takeover. I mean, you got the mayor-elect Brandon Johnson says, don't demonize the teenagers. I mean, I got so much other stories. I mean, where I'm at right here in D.C., Baltimore area, it's mass shootings like every weekend. But of course, like I said, only certain shootings get notoriety because certain races play a part. We need more leaders, less followers. I'm out.